Good day, everyone. It's another day and another new learnings. So today we will be discussing the cry of Balintawak. So before we dive into our topic, here's our learning objectives. By the end of this report or video, you should be able to recognize the historical events in achieving the Philippine independence. Second, criticize the historical data and facts through critical thinking. And lastly, reconstruct history by developing critical thinking skill. It is surprising that there are different versions on the dates for first cry of the revolution as well as its venue. This controversy after this time remains unsolved. It is believed that the so-called cry took place in Balintawak, but others would say that it really happened in Pugadlawin. Nevertheless, there are different versions to consider in knowing the real date and place of the cry. These include P. Valenzuela's controversial Cry of Pugadlawin, Santiago Alvarez, The Cry of Bahay Toro, Gregoria de Jesus' version of the first cry, and Guillermo Masangkay's The Cry of Balintawak. We all know that the Spaniards ruled our country for over 300 years ago, and Andres Bonifacio created and led the Katipunan o the KKK, the kataas-taasang kagalang-galangang katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan. But when and where did the first cry really happen? We will know that now. First, I mentioned a lot different peoples with different titles about the first cry. And now we will talk about first the P. Valenzuela's version. The Cry of Pugadlawin has been authorized by no other than Dr. P. Valenzuela, who happened to be the eyewitness himself to the event. In his first version, he told that the prime staging point of the cry was in Balintawak on Wednesday of August 26, 1896. He held this account when the happening or events are still vivid in his memory. On the other hand, later in his life, and with a fading memory, he wrote his memoirs of the revolution without consulting the written documents of the Philippine Revolution, and claimed that the cry took place of Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. And here's his account. The first place of refuge of Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Procopio Bonifacio, Teodoro Plata, Aguado del Rosario, and Pio Valenzuela, the first five arriving there on August 19, and Pio Valenzuela on August 20, 1896. The first place where some 500 members of the Katipunan met on August 22, 1896, was the house and the yard of Apolonio Samson at Kangkong.
Aside from the person mentioned above, among those who were there were Bishop Antas, Alejandro Santiago, Ramon Bernardo. The significant gathering took place on August 23, 1896, at Pugadlawin, specifically at the house, storehouse, and yard of Juan Ramos, who was the son of Melchora Aquino, a prominent figure in the Philippine history. Over 1,000 Katipunan members attended this meeting, engaging in extensive debate and discussion. The main topic was whether to begin the revolution against the Spanish government on August 29, 1896. Only one man, Teodoro Plata, who was Bonifacio's brother-in-law, protested and argued against starting a war. Other notable individuals present at this meeting were Enrique Cipriano, Alfonso Pachero, Tomas Remigio, Sinforoso San Pedro, and others. After the intense meeting, many of those present tore their cedula certificates in a symbolic act of rejecting Spanish authority and shouted, "Long live the Philippines! Long live the Philippines!"
The Cry of Bahay Toro, August 24, 1896. This version of the cry was written by Santiago Alvarez, a well-known Katipunero from Cavite and a son of Mariano Alvarez. Santiago is a relative of Georgia de Jesus, who happened to be the wife of Andres Bonifacio. Santiago Alvarez is not an eyewitness of these events. As a result, this version of him is not given of equal value as compared with the other version, for authors of other accounts are actually part of the historic event. Santiago Alvarez is dili siya eyewitness sa event na nahitabo. Motong dahilan, bantog dili kaayo ginatag-ag value ang ang version niya compared sa lain na sila kay eyewitness sila atos or part sila sa historic event na nahitabo. This is one of his account. Sunday, August 23, 1896, as early as 10 o'clock in the morning at the barn of Cabezang Malchora, at a place called Sampalucan, barrio of Bahay Toro, Katipuneros met together. About 500 of these arrived, ready and eager to join the Supremo, Andres Bonifacio and his men. Monday, August 24, 1896. There were about 1,000 Katipuneros. The Supremo decided to hold a meeting inside the big barn. Under his leadership, the meeting began at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was 12 o'clock noon when the meeting adjourned. Loud cries of "Long live the son of the country! Mabuhay mga anak ng bayan!"
So let's move on from the cry of Bahay Turo and proceed naman tayo ngayon sa the first cry version ni Gregoria de Jesus. So this version was written by no other than Gregoria de Jesus, the wife of Supremo Andres Bonifacio, and kilala si de Jesus sa kanyang palayaw na Oriang or Aling Oriang, and also she is the Lakambini of the Katipunan. De Jesus was the keeper of the Katipunan secret documents, seal, and certain weapons. She put herself in danger para para mabutan lang jud sa secured nga lugar ang katong mga kailangan niyang ikip. She moved to live with her parents in Caloocan when revolution began in August 1896. While si Andres Bonifacio naman, along with his soldiers, is nag-assembled in the island of Balintawak for the fight of freedom. In her account, the first cry happened near Caloocan on August 25, 1896. So it says here na the activities of the Katipunan had reached nearly all concern of the Philippine archipelago, so that when its existence was discovered and some of the members arrested, we immediately returned to Caloocan. However, as we were closely watched by the agents of the Spanish authorities, Andres Bonifacio and other Katipuneros left the town after some days. So it was when that uprising began with the first cry for freedom on August 25, 1896. So ana diri si De Jesus. I was with my parents. Through my friends, I learned that Spanish were coming to arrest me. So iba na siya sa iyang parents nagpuyo. So because of her friend, nalaman niya na ang mga Spanish officials pala and soldiers is on their way para arrestohan siya. So she immediately ning lakaw din siya sa ilahang town at 11 o'clock at night, and she secretly going through the rice field to La Lorna with the intention of returning to Manila. So sa pag-adto niya Manila, nag-join siya sa iyang husband dito sa island, which is naka-experience siya dito of trials and sacrifices of patriots' life. And she says here that I was treated like an apparition. For sad to say, every house where I tried to get a little rest, I was driven away as if people therein were frightened for their own lives. So, sa mga ginaduulan niya para pangayuan og tabang is wala man lay ni tabang sa iya. Ginataboy siya, kumbaga wala pa siya kabalo ato why or what is the reason, but ano siya diri is later I found out that the occupants of the houses which I had visited were seized and severely punished. So bantog di ay nga nung walay mo tabang sa iya ha, because there are consequence. So mapanisyan sila, parang ipatapon or severely or mas lala pa jud, and some even exiled. So one of them was an uncle of mine whom I had visited on that night to kiss his hand, and he died in exile. So isa sa mga namatay is ang iyahang uncle, because iyang uncle is isa sa mga naduulan niya, and it was the consequence kapag naay mutabang or kapag naa siya'y maduulan. So that's all for my report.
Talk about the cry of Balintawak. So, the cry of Balintawak, August 26, 1896. This version is written by the Katipunan General Guillermo Masangkay. He is an eyewitness of the historic event and a childhood friend of Bonifacio. According to him, the first rally of the Philippine Revolution happened on August 26, 1896 at Balintawak. Correspondingly, the date and site presented were accepted by the preliminary years of American government. So, ano sa ang cry of Balintawak? So, according to sa ako so the cry of Bugad Lawin, a symbolic act of defiance against Spanish colonial rule, is generally recognized as August 23, 1896. August 23 gid ang original nga date. So, Guillermo Masangkay, a Katipunan member, may have provided an account. It's essential to cross-reference information from various sources for a comprehensive understanding. Pugadlawin, which is now a part of Balintawak, saw the occurrence of the cry of Pugadlawin, a momentous occasion in Philippine history. To show their opposition to Spanish rule, revolutionaries such as Andres Bonifacio and members tore their residency certificates.
Bonifacio then asked the people to give a pledge that they were to revolt. He told them that the sign of slavery of the Filipino were the cedula tax charged each citizen. Bonifacio said, "I want to see you destroy your cedulas. It will be the sign that all of us have declared our severance from the Spaniards." With their tears in their eyes, the people as one man pull out their cedulas and tore them to pieces. Diri na to nagsugod tong gigisit nilang sedula. It was the beginning of the formal declaration of the separation from the Spanish rule. With their cedulas destroyed, they could no longer go back to their home because the Spaniards would persecute them if it not for being cataponeros, for having no cedulas, and people who had no cedulas during those days were severely punished. When the people pledge was obtained by Bonifacio, he returned to the session hall and informed the leaders of what took place outside. Then, yang giingon, the people want to revolt and they have destroyed their cedulas. Mo nang giingon ni Bonifacio. So now, we have to start the uprising, otherwise the people by 100 will be shot. Mo tungkuan. There was no alternative. The board of directors, in spite of protests of Plata, Pantas, and Valenzuela, voted for the revolution. And when was decided, the people outside shouted, "Long live the Philippine Republic." Ilang giingon, mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Balintawak, August, the cry of Balintawak. I still remember Bonifacio as he opened the pier that day, although there may be Bodigorio, which means the warehouseman, and the earning of 25 pesos per month. Money na money sound na taga per month. He was a cultured man. He always wear open a coat and black necktie and a black hat. Bali, unsa siya panamit niya permi gentleman kay siya tanaw, like he wears a tuxedo ana. He always carried an umbrella at the meeting that morning of August 26, 1896, which is araw siyang katawhan the Bonifacio Day. Abi was weaving bamboo huts. During his spare time, he wove dozens of them and sold them in Manila. Thus, he made extra money. Bali, si Bonifacio Day ga baligya rin siya baligya siya mga bamboo huts ba gawa sa bamboo, and also in free time gibaligya to niya para na siya extra income. At the 5 o'clock in the afternoon, while gathering at Balintawak was celebrating the decision of the Katipunan leaders to start the uprising, the guards who were up in the trees to watch for any possible intruders. Bali, naikatanaw sa mga unsa ba, na mga guards na nagatanaw ba for bali mag-check sila if nabay paparating na mga ambush ana ba para keep safe yung mga possible intruders ba, para kasing na sila yung mga unsa or the approach of the enemy. Gave the warning to the Spaniards who were coming, mga nanghatag to mga bodyguards of sa nasign na padulong to mga intruders, which is the Spaniards. Led by the Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, and other leaders of the Katipunan, the men were distributed in strategic position were prepared for attack of the civilian guards. Bali sila Bonifacio and Emilio Jacinto and other leaders ng Katipunan is nagka-prepare sila ng depensa ba para na sila pang preparatory attack para sa pag-atake nila sa mga civilian guards, which is the Spaniards. Spaniards were to pass in order to reach the meeting place of the Katipuneros. Shots were then fired by the civil guards. Moto nagpaputok na itong mga civil guards, which is the cause of this destruction. And that was the beginning of the fight, which later became such a huge configuration. Moto nagsugod na dito na nagsugod ang usa the katawhan of the Independence Day, which is the day where Andres Bonifacio died.